Hello YouTube. It's an instant reaction video to a shocking piece of news. I'm still asleep from it, but I'm waking up rapidly fast. Antonio Brown has been released by the New England Patriots. He's gone. He's out of here. There's a couple of cases pending, and there was information being leaked. If you saw a video earlier on Sunday last week, or Sunday just gone, regarding the fact that there was a case pending or there was information holding over him. I think for New England to release him, I think pretty much speaks volumes about what is about to come. I believe this is the end of Antonio Brown. I'm afraid I don't think there is any value in any shares or stocks you may have of him right now. If you've traded for him, I'm afraid it could well be the end of the road. You're going to have to hold on to him if it's dynasty in redraft. I don't know what kind of miracle or voodoo doll you are going to have to perform to get him to come back to play this year. It doesn't look too good. There isn't really much to say except the fact that the upticks are fairly easy really to see. Josh Gordon, Edelman and probably Burkhead are the immediate beneficiaries of this quite sad news. And yeah, it's bad because it's such an end for a player, but he's been a circus all off season. It's been a disaster, and as Al rightly said, and we've said it on this channel for a while now, it was a long time to get off the AB train. He definitely had frostbite in his head. It's been a circus, and it's such a shame that it's come down to this point, but it was inevitable. I mean, the man had lost his head. So I've got no idea where it goes next for him. There isn't really much to say. There is a question coming in. Good question. Let's have a little look at that. From oh, I do apologise. Let me bring that back up. Hold on one moment. I have to apologise to you in advance. I'm doing this straight off a very small iPad. I can only make out the question. I do apologise to you, the viewer. If you are a new viewer to our channel, thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Please give the video a thumbs up and a like, and please think about subscribing. Yeah, Julian Edelman's stock definitely evaluates and goes upwards. I mean, last week Julian Edelman had about 50 odd yards on limited catches. Obviously, Antonio Brown took away a few. You've got to assume he's going to get an average of 2 or 3 extra targets and looks, and more likely 2 or 3 extra grabs. That equates to anything from about 15 to 25 or even more yards. It's Julian Edelman, and he's been professional, succinct, perfect. He's the perfect player for their system. AB never was, but I suppose they were hoping to catch lightning in the bottle for one season, really, and then see where it goes. It's a great question. Thank you very much for that. Here's another one. Who's going to put him up with him anymore? There's a few teams I feel would. That's a great question. I think that's. Let me double check that. I do again apologise about it. The really weird thing with my iPad, I think it's from Adam Davis. I can make that out. Yeah, I don't think they will. I think the problem now is if New England can't put up with him and there's pending investigations hanging over it, I think the truth of the matter is no team will have any time to negotiate anything with him, because the commissioner now will have to put him on the exempt list, and that is going to play out completely through the whole of the season. Frankly, as far as fantasy football goes, I am completely and utterly done with AB. I have been a while. We thought, going back before the season started, he was great value in the second round. We felt he was going to be the Raiders' only real true target other than Terrell Williams. We thought he might have a chance to prove his critics wrong and maybe play with a chip on his shoulder. I think, frankly, the only chip is in his head. God knows what's been going on behind the scenes, but I'll come back to the line we've used before here on the programme, and that's always been the same with these kind of players. Playmakers, they make their own rules. And that's the issue with AB, and let's hope, frankly, probably for the best, it is the end, because I can't put up with the circus. I mean, I think if you've got him in dynasty, as I said, you've got no choice but to hold. And if you've got him in redraft, I think there's no value. I really can't see there being any value. You're going to have to hold for a few days just to see how the dust settles. But the truth is he's certainly not playing now, and he won't be playing next week. And I think by the time it's all said and done, within a few days, we're going to see him on the exempt list. Let's see what happens. Let's see if there's any more questions that come through. I think there is. If you have any, then please shoot them over. It could make, yeah, it's a great question, Adam. Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Yeah, I do agree with you. I think Gronk would have a chance to come back. I think it's slim though. The reason I think it's slim is simply because he has kind of bulked down from his playing days. I think he, when you're playing football, you play at a certain way, a certain mentality, and a certain bolted up weight that you have to try and achieve to take the kind of on-field stresses and strains to carry it over. Is very very difficult. So I could see him maybe making a return, but I'm not sure. I think New England are very well primed for this season, to be honest, for a good playoff run, as always. They always are. But let's have a little look, see what other questions have come through. But that's a good question. It is possible. Oh God, yeah, absolutely, Martin. I mean, that is a great phrase right there. And Al points out rightly, he was on our do not draft list. As soon as he broke the, as soon I'll come back to your question there, Martin. But as soon as he broke the, we started to see the circus play out. Me and Al, he was immediately on our list. Like, don't draft this guy because I've got no shares of him anywhere this year. I considered it for a moment, and I couldn't do the trigger. I couldn't pull the trigger for him. I just couldn't do it. I think if you've done business on him already, congratulations, well done. You've dodged a huge bullet for your fantasy season ahead, that's for sure. We've got 8 people watching. I'm quite surprised. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, you have any questions, please shoot them over. I will stay on camera to answer those questions. I'm literally shooting live. So I just want to come back to Martin's point. I have to find his question because it was a good one. Yeah, narcissistic schmuck. I like that. Yeah, I mean, the ego clearly there. It's been there for a long time. I think people often say wide receiver prima donnas for a reason. He probably is going to end his career. It's a tragedy, really. Absolute tragedy. When you think about the opportunity to leave a legacy behind as a player, just thrown it all out just thrown everything he did that was of any good away. He's probably only got himself to blame. And rightly, you are right. Narcissistus. Narcissistus. I haven't even said that right. That's how tired I am. It's been a long day today. Let's have a look at some of the questions coming through. We've got quite a few. Yeah, I'm glad Al's with you there, Martin. Good. Adam's here. Is this the act of a madman, or is it bad people around him? I think. Well, that's a fantastic question, Adam. I think a lot of the time, players surround themselves with their history, and what I mean by that is, often you find in the NFL, like in life, people who come from some very poor, deprived areas. I'm not saying for 1 minute I know Antonio Brown's backstory, but let's be honest, a lot of these people come from very poor situations. This is their route out of that trouble. But with them, often coming into the NFL is a entourage of people. Sometimes they're good and they're of a great influence around the player, and that's fantastic. And other times they're not great influences. And the issue then lies in the fact that they carry that on into their playing days. I think whatever is happening around Antonio Brown is not showing great. He doesn't seem to have many people around him these days to guide him. He seems very hung up on the media, the social media, and is very quick to put comments out. That shows a lot of bad character, a lot of bad judgment, and I don't think there's a lot of people around him that actually either A, can influence him, or B, have actually outgrown him. And I think that's probably the case, to be honest with you. And this will be like a pariah now. So let's see what's going on now with the questions. Thank you very much for those who are here. We have 11 people watching. I'm absolutely delighted. I can't believe that. Thank you very much for watching. Please thumbs up, and do also think about subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, we've got a lot that's going to happen for this channel in the next few months. Let's have a look. Gronk ain't coming back. That's from, can't read it, but the number 45 I can see. So number 45, I have to call you number 45. Thank you for that. Yeah. I think AB Red needs to sit the rest of the year, and reevaluation of his life. Oh wow, what a great yeah. I think in life everybody at times, don't they? I mean, I don't want to get too philosophical here because we're all about the fantasy on this channel, but I think you're right. I think sometimes you have to take time away from things to reevaluate how you feel about everything in life. And I think for him, I think that evaluation is going to come pretty quick, to be perfectly honest with you. Let's just see if there's any final questions. Thanks very much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Great one here from Martin. DJ Chart looked terrific, and he is underrated. Do you guys like him as a constant wide receiver 3, perhaps 2? Well, I think on reflection of Thursday night's game, I was fortunate enough to watch the highlights of the game the morning after. We can certainly talk up a fantasy while people are watching. I've got no problem with that. It's an instant reaction to Antonio Brown, but I never mind talking to people who are fantasy orientated, so thank you for the question. Yeah, I mean, he looked really good. They targeted him on some deep balls. The new quarterback, I'm quite warming to him. He's a bit of a character. I quite like him. He really looks interesting, and I think he'll do. I think Shark could do quite well the rest of the way. I think he is wide receiver 3 material. If I'm honest, there's going to be some ups and downs games. I think it's not really settling. And Fournette was awful actually. There was a rumble at the end of the game. If you haven't seen the highlights, well worth watching. If it wasn't for the rumble, he was on -9 yards, just to give you some scope by the very late into the fourth quarter. It was another Fournette poor performance. He's on our do not draft list this year. People will say he's done well. He's had no touchdowns so far this year, even after 3 games. The rumble is the only thing that salvaged a poor day, and it's still not a great day, frankly. You make up your own mind, and let's wait for the ankles start to play in too. So let's see if there are any more questions. I will always take them. With the Dolphins tanking, oh God, yeah, great question. This year, could there be a rebuild next year with AB going home? Oh God, that's a fabulous question. No, I think AB's done. I honestly, genuinely do now. I think that these investigations hanging over are so serious. I mean, I'm not going to get onto it here tonight, but there's some very serious accusations hanging over Antonio Brown, and I think if there is any kind of truth to any of it, and it's certainly looking worse because more people are coming forward, which is terrible, frankly. I mean, I don't for 1 minute think that there are people out there who will try to hone in for the cash that this man has certainly got, but it is worrying. If that all clears up, then yes, there would be a logical chance that next year maybe he goes home. They certainly will have the money, and they've certainly got the draft picks. Currently holding 5 first-rounders for next year. There's no doubt this team, the Miami Dolphins, are in tank mode, and we've been saying that for a few weeks now. We've worried about them. There's some more questions, which is lovely. How do you feel about Wentz this week? Would you stream Winston, Jimmy G, Rivers, or Dalton pick one? Oh wow. I think Dalton stayed quite hot. Rivers was a bit cold last week. I'm not such a huge fan of Winston, and Jimmy G is up in the air really for me. I think it's really weird for me to say it about Andy Dalton, but it's the kind of game scripts that they've got going on kind of mean that he is going to be throwing a lot, and I think that's the case again. So I think he'd make a great streaming option for this week. There is risk with this, frankly. There's a risk because, you know, it can all go tragically and poorly wrong very quickly for Andy Dalton and the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, you saw that on Sunday, how far back they were and how big they were training the game. So don't be under any illusions. So yeah, it's worth the risk if you're going to stream one. But I think Rivers is due a bounce back. Very unlucky last week. Rivers, there should have been a touchdown, I think, to Eckler. It was a ticky-tacky penalty that brought that back. And that would have salvaged what was a pretty poor day from Rivers. I've got another question in, and this is great stuff, guys. Thank you very much. Keep them rolling. It's brilliant to have that coming in. Patriots release Brown in case some are not aware. Yeah, we've just been talking about it, actually. Thank you very much, Martin. Yeah, that's exactly what this video is all about. We're talking effectively about Antonio Brown that he's been released, but of course we'll take any questions just on the back of this video, just for those watching in and maybe catching the Antonio Brown news. So we'll tie up a few things. You will see me on Sunday. I'm going to wrap it up there, but thanks very much for watching, guys. All I'm going to say to you is we are live on Sunday. Coming up, approximately, it's UK time, so you'll have to check the American times, what that falls into, but it's 10 to 4, shooting roughly 10 to 4, quarter to 4, shooting all the way through to about 10 to 5, sorry, 10 to 4, shooting all the way through to about, 10 to 5, shooting all the way through to 10 to 6 UK time. I do apologise. I'm still getting over the shock of the news of what's happening. We've got some stuff, still more questions coming in. Let's have a quick look. I'll take them if they're there. Yeah, thank you very much. You're very, very welcome. Really appreciate it, Adam. And thank you, Martin. That's very much appreciated. Guys, thank you. We'll see you Sunday. Good luck with your fantasy teams. Hopefully, you're milking the reward. Oh, one final thing. Singletary won't be playing this Sunday, so adjust your lineouts accordingly. We'll talk about that Sunday as well. It's a shame, but the good news is it is a very, very minor one, and I'm grateful that they're keeping him out a week. It looks like he will be back the next week. So that's the good news from the Bills camp. See you Sunday. Take care, everybody.